Welcome back to Horoscope TV. Imagine trying to drive down a massive 10-lane highway while wearing a blindfold.
Oh, wow. That sounds awful.
Right, like you cannot see the signs, you do not know where the exits are, and you have like zero idea what the other cars are doing.
Yeah, total chaos.
Exactly. And that is exactly what it feels like when your carefully color-coded, perfectly planned daily routine gets entirely hijacked by the universe.
But it's pretty much a nightmare for anyone.
Totally. And this week, the universe is not just hijacking your routine, it is basically tossing your GPS straight out the window.
It is a terrifying thought, especially for the sign we are looking at today. Because, when you thrive on order, losing that map feels like losing your anchor.
It really does. Which brings us to our mission for you today. We are looking at the road ahead for you, our Virgo listeners, for the upcoming week of March 30 to April 5, 2026.
Yes, a very, very big week.
Huge. We are going to carefully analyze the astrological charts and the astro data for your sign. And the core theme we are seeing for this specific week is a massive, almost contradictory push and pull.
Yeah, it's a lot of fiction.
On one side, you are being pushed toward these expansive, completely new horizons. But on the other side, you have this, desperate need to maintain a careful, steady balance in your finances and your everyday life.
To use your driving analogy from earlier, it is like being told you need to drive a race car on a dirt track.
Okay, stressful enough.
Right, but you also have a full cup of hot coffee resting on the dashboard, and you are not allowed to spill a single drop.
Oh, man, that's intense.
It requires an incredible amount of focus.
And
a willingness to operate in a completely new way.
Well, I want to set the ground rules for how we are looking at this week, because when you step into the world of astrological charts and look at the geometry of the sky, it's not a rigid minute-by-minute schedule.
No, not at all. The planets are not forcing you to do anything.
Right. It is much more like checking the weather forecast before you go on a long road trip. The charts do not tell you exactly where you will stop for lunch or what song you will sing on the radio.
Exactly. Still have free will.
Yeah. But they absolutely tell you whether there is a massive thunderstorm ahead so you can pack an umbrella, or if the sun will be blinding so you know to bring your sunglasses. We are here to help you pack your bags so you are totally prepared.
And that preparation is key because the energy shifting around you this week is thick. We are looking at a sky filled with dynamic angles, planetary clashes, and honestly, moments of absolute brilliance.
So let's start with the broad strokes, the big picture, before we zoom into the everyday details of your job or your relationships.
Okay.
The first major shift in the astro data happens right at the starting line of the week. On March 30, the planet Venus moves into the sign of Taurus.
Yes, a very grounding shift.
So walk me through the actual mechanics of this, because Venus is the planet of love and value, and Taurus is the symbol of the bull. How does a love planet in a stubborn earth sign translate to what a Virgo is going to feel on, a random Monday morning?
Well, to understand the mechanics of this, we really have to look at what these planets and signs actually do. Venus is not just about romance.
Right, it's broader than that.
Exactly. Venus rules attraction. It rules what we are magnetically drawn toward, what brings us pleasure, and what we find valuable. And Taurus is an earth sign, which means it deals with the physical, tangible world.
Like stuff you can actually touch.
Yeah, what you can touch, taste, and see. And because you, the listener, are a Virgo, which is also an earth sign, you and Taurus speak the exact same elemental language.
Oh, I see. So it's a smooth connection.
Very smooth. So when Venus moves into Taurus, it creates a very grounded yet incredibly strong magnetic pull for you.
But the charts specifically say this pull is toward higher learning, philosophy, or planning an exciting long-distance trip. And I kind of have to play the skeptic here.
Okay, go for it.
You are telling me a Virgo, a person who probably has their meals prepped for the next 5 days and gets a deep sense of comfort from drinking out of their one specific favorite coffee mug.
Which is a very Virgo thing to do, yes.
Right. You're saying they are just going to wake up and feel pulled to fly across the ocean because that sounds completely terrifying for someone who loves routine.
It does sound terrifying, and that is exactly the psychological friction we need to analyze. Virgos build routines to create safety. You find a system that protects you from chaos, and you stick to it.
Because it works.
It does work. But the problem is that a perfectly closed system eventually runs out of air.
Mm-hmm.
Growth cannot happen if you never leave your living room.
Oh, that makes sense.
So Venus entering Taurus is essentially the universe opening a window and letting fresh air in.
Okay, so it is not a chaotic push. It is not forcing you to drop everything and, like, join the circus.
No, because Taurus is still a stable, earthy energy. It wants you to expand, but it wants you to do it in a way that feels real and solid.
It's not pushing you out of an airplane without a parachute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is just asking you to maybe try a completely new hiking trail.
Right.
Or, read a book by an author from a culture you know nothing about.
Mm.
It is an invitation to feed your brain new physical experiences.
That makes a lot of sense, because the smartest brain in the world still needs new information to process. Otherwise, it just analyzes the same 5 problems over and over again.
Yes, the Virgo mind needs new material to work with.
So this energy is pushing you to step far outside your usual comfort zone, but doing it with your feet still on the ground.
Precisely. You are being asked to stretch your boundaries. But as we move slightly forward in the week, that gentle stretching turns into an absolute mental sprint.
Yeah, it really does, because the astro data for April 3 is wild. This is a massive day. Your ruling planet, Mercury, makes a direct connection with Jupiter.
And this is huge.
For our listeners who might not know the exact roles of these planets, let's break this down. Mercury is your boss. Mercury rules Virgo. It is the planet of communication, details, processing information, and speed.
Right. And Jupiter's the exact opposite in terms of scale.
Yeah.
Jupiter's the largest planet in our solar system, and in the charts, it acts as a giant magnifying glass.
Just making everything huge.
Yeah, it represents massive growth, expansion, abundance, and philosophy. Jupiter makes everything it touches bigger.
So we have Mercury, the planet that acts as your brain's computer processor, connecting with Jupiter, the planet of massive expansion.
Yes.
It is like trying to drink from a fire hose of raw information. Your brain usually processes one neatly organized file at a time. On April 3, Jupiter essentially overclocks your processor and opens every single file on your hard drive simultaneously.
That is a very, very accurate description of the internal weather. Your already busy mind might become entirely overwhelmed by too many brilliant ideas all happening at the exact same time.
It sounds exhausting, honestly.
It is literally like having 50 tabs open on your web browser, and every single one is playing a fascinating, loud video.
Okay, I need to push back on this because I know how the Virgo mind works.
Let's hear it.
If I am getting hit with all these huge, expansive ideas about travel, philosophy, and fixing my life, and my brain has 50 tabs open, how do I stop myself from freezing up?
That is the big question.
Because the natural human reaction to having too many good options is decision paralysis. I feel like a Virgo would just look at all these ideas, panic about how messy it all is, and end up doing absolutely nothing.
The psychology behind that freezing response is very real. When the human nervous system receives too much input, it shuts down the processing center to protect itself from burning out.
Right, like a circuit breaker tripping.
Exactly. You freeze because your brain cannot prioritize the information. So to ground this mental storm, you have to use a physical intervention.
A physical intervention? Like what?
Yeah.
Do I need to go for a run?
No. You need to write things down. When these brilliant ideas come hitting you like lightning bolts, you must get them out of your head and onto a physical piece of paper or, into a digital document.
Walk me through why that works. Why does writing it down stop the panic?
It's because of how your memory works. When an idea is only in your head, your brain uses a massive amount of energy. Just try not to forget it.
Oh, totally. Like repeating a phone number over and over.
Right. It keeps reminding you, do not forget this idea, do not forget this idea, and that creates anxiety. By writing it down, you are telling your brain, I have saved this safely in the physical world. You can stop holding on to it.
And the anxiety just drops.
It instantly drops. Once it is written down, you must trust that you do not have to act on every single brilliant idea on the exact same day.
So you capture the idea to clear the mental RAM, but you delay the action. You do not have to build the entire house today just because you thought of a great floor plan.
Exactly. The ideas coming from this Mercury and Jupiter connection are genuinely good. They are not just daydreams, they are actionable insights.
You just have to pace yourself.
Right. You have to take things one step at a time. Apply your natural organizational skills to your own imagination.
Well, since Jupiter is expanding your mind and handing you all these world-changing ideas, the natural next question is, how do you actually use them?
Yes, the practical application.
Because a great idea is fun, but a great idea that helps your career or your bank account is even better. Let's look at how the astro data applies to your work and money this week.
The professional opportunities this week are extraordinary, and they tie directly back to that April 3 connection between Mercury and Jupiter we were just talking about.
The charts call this connection a trine. And I want you to explain the geometry of a trine for us because it sounds like a technical term, but it has a very real-world feeling.
It does. In the astrological charts, a trine happens when two planets are exactly 120 degrees apart from each other.
Okay, so a specific angle.
Yes. If you think about basic geometry, a triangle is the most stable, structurally sound shape you can build. When planets form this angle, the energy between them slides down a perfectly smooth ramp.
Oh, so it's easy.
There is zero friction. It is a cosmic green light.
So on April 3, the communication and detail energy of Mercury flows flawlessly into the expansive, confident energy of Jupiter. And the astro data shows this creates an environment for some massive professional breakthroughs. You get incredible mental clarity at work.
This is where your specific Virgo traits become your greatest asset. Normally, you are exceptionally good at looking at the tiny details. You see the individual trees in the forest.
You see the spelling error on page 42 of a contract.
Exactly. But then Jupiter steps in and lifts you up in a hot air balloon so you can suddenly see the entire forest. You will see exactly how those tiny details connect to the massive overarching goals of your company.
The charts actually say you will use this deep dedication and analytical skill to solve complex problems that have completely stumped your coworkers for weeks.
Yes, you are the problem solver this week.
It makes me think of someone trying to put together a massive piece of complicated furniture. Everyone else is staring at the confusing drawings, throwing their hands in the air, trying to jam the wrong pieces together.
And getting nowhere.
Right. And then you walk into the room, look at the paper for 10 seconds, look at the parts, and say, oh, this piece obviously goes here because it supports the weight of the base. You just see the mechanics of the problem clearly. You get to step in and save the day.
That is a brilliant way to picture it. And because you have solved the puzzle so clearly in your own mind, the charts show you will be highly capable of presenting your detailed findings to upper management.
Wow, okay.
You will have the confidence to explain your solution with immense persuasive charm.
Now, I have to point out that stepping up to the microphone and presenting to upper management is not usually a Virgo's favorite activity.
No, it is usually not.
Usually you want to fix the problem quietly, leave the report on the boss's desk, and go back to your quiet corner. Why is this week different?
Because the trine from Jupiter removes the self-doubt. Jupiter provides a sense of profound optimism. You are not presenting to show off. You are presenting because, as a matter of absolute fact, that your solution is the correct one.
And that certainty translates into charm and confidence.
Precisely. It's hard to be nervous when you are just presenting the undeniable truth.
But, the week is not just a smooth ride to the top of the corporate ladder. We have to look at the potholes on the road, too. The astro data points to a minor bump happening a little earlier in the week on March 31.
Yes, the charts show some difficult planetary alignments on that day. If the trine is a smooth ramp, these alignments are like arriving at a four-way stop where the traffic lights are broken.
Oh, lovely. So everything gets tangled up.
Exactly. The data indicates this might cause a sudden miscommunication with a highly demanding client, or maybe a temporary delay in getting really instant information you desperately need to finish a job.
And we need to analyze why a delay is so deeply triggering for you. Because when you have scheduled your day down to the exact minute and you have planned your workflow perfectly, a delay does not just feel like an inconvenience.
It feels like a fundamental failure of the system.
Yes. Your brain starts calculating all the downstream effects of that one delay, and the anxiety spikes.
It spirals very quickly.
So when that email you need does not arrive at 10 a.m. like it was supposed to, what do? Because the usual advice is just be patient. But telling a stressed Virgo to be patient is like telling a fire not to burn. It just makes him more frustrated.
You are absolutely right. Forced patience does not work. You cannot just sit still and stare at the wall. My advice is to actively channel that frustration into your strong organizational abilities rather than trying to force the blocked path to open.
Give me a practical example of what that looks like in the office. Like, what should I actually do?
Well, if client A is delaying the project by not sending the files, do not send them 4 angry emails.
Right. That won't help.
Pivot your energy. Build the entire framework for the project so that when the files do arrive, you can insert them and be done in 5 minutes. Or organize a completely different path.
Like doing busy work.
Productive busy work. Clean out your digital workspace. Update your project trackers. Use the nervous energy to prepare the environment. You stay incredibly patient regarding the delay by staying incredibly busy with things you can actually control.
That is brilliant. You trick your brain out of the anxiety loop by giving it a different task to complete.
Exactly. It completely neutralizes the stress.
Now, while we are on the topic of control and management, let's talk about the money side of this week. Because finding a balance between what you want and what you need is a massive theme.
Financial balance is coming into sharp focus, largely because of the full moon happening on April 2.
Let's explain the mechanics of a full moon. From an energetic standpoint, a full moon happens when the sun and the moon are directly opposite each other in the sky, with the earth right in the middle.
Yes, the Earth is sandwiched between them.
And it is a moment of maximum light, maximum tension, and maximum gravitational pull.
Exactly. It pulls the tides of the ocean, and it pulls on human emotions. Full moons are times of culmination. Things that have been building up finally reach a breaking point or a turning point, and this specific full moon is in the sign of Libra.
Libra is represented by the scales. It is the ultimate symbol of weighing two sides and finding balance. And the astro data says this Libra full moon is shining a giant spotlight right onto your financial sector.
It really is.
It urges you to find a balance between your practical spending and your personal indulgence.
Which is a very real conflict for you this week.
Yeah.
Usually, you are highly practical with your money, you know exactly what things cost, and you respect the value of a dollar.
You probably have a spreadsheet for your groceries.
Definitely. But remember all that Venus and Taurus energy and that Jupiter expansion energy. The universe is making you crave beautiful, expansive, high-quality things.
Oh, no. So you're going to want to spend money.
The desire to splurge on a luxury item or an expensive dinner is going to be incredibly tempting.
Well, the charts say this full moon brings matters of shared resources or old debts to a critical turning point. What does shared resources actually mean in plain English?
It means money that does not just belong to you. It is your joint checking account with your spouse. It is a business loan. It is the taxes you owe or the credit card debt you share.
The stuff that ties you to other people or institutions.
Right. The full moon illuminates these areas. It is the absolute perfect time to sit down, open your bank apps, look at the numbers with total honesty, and adjust your strict monthly budget. You have to review your long-term goals.
It sounds like a reality check, but it is not all about paying off debts. Going back to March 30, the Astro data has a very exciting note about generating wealth.
Yes, the passive income potential.
When Venus moves into Taurus, you might discover a brand new way to generate steady passive income.
I really want to focus on the word steady. Taurus energy is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Taurus is the farmer planting a seed and watering it every day until it grows into a massive tree that produces fruit year after year.
Slow and steady growth.
Yes, because Venus rules money just as much as it rules love.
So this passive income could come through a clever conservative investment you spot, or maybe a specialized educational course you take that teaches you a new skill, which increases your earning power over time.
Yes. Keep your eyes open for ideas that build long-term value. But, and this is a big but, we must issue a very severe warning regarding your money this week, specifically for April 5.
Let's look at the charts for April 5. The sun connects in a tough angle with Jupiter. We talked about a trine earlier being a smooth ramp. This angle is called a square. Explain what a square does.
A square in the charts is a 90-degree angle. It is two energetic forces arriving at an intersection at the exact same time from different directions.
And they just crash into each other.
They clash. It creates friction, pressure, and tension.
Okay, so the sun represents your core self, your ego, your basic identity. And Jupiter, again, is the planet of massive expansion and extreme optimism. When they clash in a square, what happens to the human brain?
You suffer from a temporary, highly dangerous case of absolute overconfidence.
Oh.
Yeah, Jupiter clouds your usual practical judgment by making you feel invincible. It creates an illusion. You might look at your bank account, see a normal amount of money, but your brain tells you, I am incredibly wealthy, I can afford anything.
You literally feel richer than you actually are.
Exactly.
The charts explicitly say you must avoid making any large impulsive purchases on this day. So I want to make this very clear for the listener. April 5 is not the day to walk onto a car dealership lot just to look around. Do not do it.
All right, pass it.
Seriously, the salesman will talk to you, Jupiter will make you feel like a millionaire, and you will drive away with a car loan you absolutely cannot afford.
I completely agree. It is also not the day to open your laptop at midnight and browse expensive online stores. Do not book luxury vacation packages.
Put your credit cards in a physical drawer on April 5 and let the optimistic fog clear before you spend a single dollar.
It's just 24 hours of bad financial judgment. Just wait it out.
It is so fascinating how value shifts from our bank accounts to our hearts, though, because just as the full moon brings shared money to a turning point, the Astro data shows that how you share your life and your feelings with other people will also be a major focus this week.
Relationships are moving to the front of the stage, and the energy we are analyzing here is incredibly complex. It blends high adventure with some very heavy, deeply rooted psychological emotions.
Let's start with the adventure part, because the charts say your romantic life takes on a highly adventurous and intellectual tone. It is a wonderful time to connect with your partner on a much deeper mental level.
This brings us back to that heavy Mercury influence we talked about.
Mhm.
For a Virgo, intelligence is the ultimate aphrodisiac. You not just want someone who looks good, you want someone whose brain fascinates you.
You crave mental stimulation.
Yes, a deep philosophical conversation about how the world works is deeply romantic for you.
The Astro data actually has specific advice depending on your relationship status. So if you are in a committed relationship, planning a fun weekend getaway or attending an exciting cultural event together will significantly reignite the passionate spark between you two.
And we need to analyze why the spark fades in the first place. When you live with someone, you fall into a routine. You only see them in the context of taking out the trash, paying bills, and complaining about work.
The boring day-to-day stuff.
Exactly. Your brain files them under domestic routine.
So by taking them to a museum exhibit, a play, or a new city for the weekend, you force your brain to look at them in a completely new environment.
Exactly. You give yourself something totally new to talk about. You hear them express an opinion you have never heard before.
And that stimulates the Mercury energy.
Right, which in turn stimulates the romantic connection. You are quite literally refreshing the relationship's data.
But what if you were single? Because the universe is not leaving single Virgos out of this adventurous energy.
Not at all. Single Virgos might easily meet someone incredibly fascinating this week. And the charts point to a very specific type of person.
Oh, really? What type?
Well, because of the Jupiter influence, this person will likely come from a completely different cultural background than you, or they will be someone who shares a deep, intense love for higher education.
Again, the universe is pushing you out of your normal routine. You are not going to meet this fascinating person by staring at your phone while walking down the exact same aisle of the exact same grocery store you visit every Tuesday.
No, definitely not.
You have to put yourself in environments where learning and culture happen.
You must be open to people who view the world differently than you do. But, as we mentioned earlier, the energy is not just light and fun. There is a moment of intense emotional depth that arrives right in the middle of all this adventure.
Right. We keep coming back to this date, April 3. It is a massive day for you. While Mercury is giving you brilliant ideas at work, the planet Venus is doing something very difficult. On April 3, Venus forms a tough angle, another 90-degree square, with the planet Pluto.
And we really need to talk about Pluto. Pluto is the furthest out, and it moves incredibly slowly. In the charts, Pluto represents the underworld.
That sounds intense.
It is. It rules our deepest, most hidden fears, our darkest secrets, our trauma, and our intense transformations. And Venus, of course, is the planet of love and connection.
So when Venus crashes into Pluto at a 90-degree angle, what are we actually looking at? The old cliche is that it is like shining a bright flashlight into the dark, scary basement of your heart.
That's one way to say it.
But let's find a better way to explain it. It is more like putting extreme weight on a bridge to see if the concrete cracks. It is a stress test for your emotions.
That is a much more accurate metaphor. The astro data states that deeply rooted fears about commitment or vulnerability might suddenly surface on this exact day. And the charts advise that this will require gentle, honest communication to resolve completely.
Now, wait a minute. I have to ask you to explain the psychology here because this sounds like emotional whiplash.
It does feel like whiplash.
How do you go from planning a fun, adventurous, romantic weekend or meeting someone totally new and exciting to suddenly dealing with heavy, dark fears about commitment on the exact same day? Does that mean the relationship is failing?
It means the exact opposite. This is one of the most misunderstood psychological mechanisms in human relationships. Deep connections almost always trigger our deepest fears.
Break that down for me. Why does connection cause fear?
Well, when you are casually dating someone or when you are just going through the motions in a marriage, you feel perfectly safe. Why? Because your heart is guarded. Nothing is truly at stake. If they leave, you will be fine.
Yeah, you're not fully invested.
Right. But the moment you go on that amazing trip or you have that late night conversation where you truly understand each other, a switch flips in your brain. You suddenly realize, I really truly care about this person.
And caring means you have something massive to lose.
Totally. For a Virgo who builds their entire life around being in control and predicting outcomes, realizing that your happiness is now tied to the unpredictable actions of another human being is terrifying.
Wow, yeah.
That is the Pluto fear surfacing. The fun weekend trip is the very thing that makes you realize you are vulnerable.
Wow. So the fear of commitment is not a red flag telling you to run away. The fear is actually the evidence that the relationship is becoming real. The concrete of the bridge is being tested because a real heavy connection is driving over it.
Which is why running away is the worst thing you could do. It feels scary, but it is ultimately very healthy if you communicate it.
Don't just bottle it up.
Right. Do not let your Virgo brain try to analyze the fear in secret. Use your communication skills. Sit down with your partner and say, I am feeling really anxious today because I realize how much you mean to me, and that scares me.
Just putting it out there.
Exactly. That honest vulnerability takes the power away from Pluto and resolves the fear completely.
That is a massive realization. And since open, honest communication is the key to surviving this week's relationship stress test, let's look at exactly who the charts say you will communicate best with and who you should probably avoid. We are talking about cosmic compatibility.
Yes, and compatibility is not a fixed state. It shifts depending on the energetic weather of the week. Because your mind is so active right now, you need specific types of energy around you.
Let's start with your absolute best match this week. The charts say it is Pisces. Why Pisces?
If you look at the astrological wheel, Pisces sits exactly 180 degrees away from Virgo. They are your direct opposite. You are an earth sign, they are a water sign.
So they balance each other.
Yes. Earth provides structure. Water provides nourishment. Opposites balance each other out perfectly when the tension is right.
The astro data explains that Pisces brings a deeply soothing and highly intuitive energy that perfectly balances your overly analytical and sometimes anxious mind.
We have established that your brain is processing 50 open tabs this week. You are calculating risks, reviewing budgets, and planning projects. You are living entirely in the world of logic and facts.
And Pisces.
Pisces does not live there. Pisces processes the world through feelings, intuition, and spiritual trust.
So while you are busy worrying about the tiny everyday details, like whether you sent that email with the correct attachment, whether the car needs oil, whether you packed the right shoes for the trip, they gently step in and remind you to look at the massive picture.
They remind you to trust that the universe is unfolding exactly as it should.
And that is a message your nervous system desperately needs. You cannot control every variable in life, no matter how hard you try. When you spend time with a Pisces this week, their boundless compassion creates a totally safe emotional space.
It really does.
So you can actually express those heavy Pluto fears we just talked about without any fear of harsh judgment. A Pisces is not going to tell you to just get over it or give you a 10-point plan to fix your feelings. They are just going to sit with you and validate your emotion.
And the beauty of this compatibility is that it is a mutual exchange. The charts show they deeply appreciate your practical help too.
Right, because while they are floating in the spiritual clouds, they might forget to pay their water bill.
Exactly.
So you step in, help them organize their life, fix their spreadsheet, and in return for your practical help, they offered the beautiful emotional support and spiritual inspiration that you secretly crave when you are stressed. It is the perfect trade.
It is a symbiotic relationship. You give them the structure to survive the real world. They give you the peace to survive your own mind.
But then we have the other side of the wheel. Your worst match this week, the sign that is going to drive you absolutely crazy, is Gemini.
Yes, this is a highly volatile dynamic right now. And it is interesting because both Virgo and Gemini share the exact same ruling planet, Mercury.
Wait, let me stop you there and push back. If both signs are ruled by Mercury, shouldn't they be best friends this week?
You would think so.
Right. If Mercury is the planet of the mind and the sky is full of mental energy, shouldn't a Virgo and a Gemini be the ultimate brainstorming team? Why are we writing them off?
It comes down to how the elements use the planet. Virgo is Earth Mercury. Gemini is air Mercury.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
Imagine mental energy as a stack of important papers. Earth Mercury takes those papers, sorts them alphabetically, puts them in a color-coded filing cabinet, and locks the drawer. The job is done.
Organized and safe.
Right. Air Mercury takes that same stack of papers, throws them into the air like confetti, and watches how beautifully they spin in the wind.
Oh, wow. Okay, so same energy, completely opposite application.
Exactly. Gemini's constantly scattered and highly unpredictable energy will clash violently with your need for order. You take mental energy and build systems. They take mental energy and scatter it just to see what happens.
The astrodata points out that while you desperately need structure and clear communication to feel safe, they are constantly changing their minds. They jump from one idea to the next without finishing anything.
And remember the context of April 3. Your mind is already maxed out with your own brilliant ideas. You are already at the limit of your processing power.
True, you're already overwhelmed.
So when a Gemini comes into your workspace with their refusal to focus on a single practical task, it acts as the final straw. It overloads your system.
The charts warn that this friction might lead to a highly frustrating argument that leaves you feeling deeply unappreciated and totally exhausted.
It is just not a good mix this week.
It is like trying to build a house with someone who keeps changing the blueprints every 5 minutes. You are standing there holding the hammer, ready to nail down the floorboards, and they walk in and say, "Wait, what if we made the kitchen a swimming pool instead?"
That is exactly what it feels like. It makes a Virgo want to scream. Which is why the professional advice here is a hard boundary. Strictly avoid relying on a Gemini for anything important this week.
Just keep your distance.
Yes. Do not partner with them on a tight deadline at work. Do not ask them to help you review that shared budget we talked about. Focus entirely on your own independent projects. Protect your energy by working alone.
Speaking of protecting your energy, dealing with the exhausting chaos of a Gemini, or honestly, just managing your own 50 open mental tabs takes a massive physical toll. We have to talk about your physical and mental wellness because the charts strongly indicate a need for intense self-care.
Wellness in astrology is not just about avoiding a cold. It is about maintaining your internal equilibrium. And for a Virgo, the mind and the physical body are not separate entities. They are deeply, intimately connected.
The astrodata states that your physical health and mental wellness should be your absolute top priority this week, specifically because your nervous system might easily feel overwhelmed.
We talked about Jupiter overclocking your mental processor earlier. Let's look at the physical result of that. The nervous system is the electrical wiring of your physical house.
Okay.
When you plug too many high-powered appliances into the same electrical outlet, what happens? The wires get hot, and eventually the breaker trips.
So all these exciting new ideas, the expansive thoughts, the travel plans, even though they are positive things, they are high-powered appliances.
Yes. The body does not always know the difference between the stress of a threat and the stress of extreme excitement. Both produce adrenaline and cortisol. Your internal wires are running hot.
That makes a lot of sense.
You might feel physically jittery, anxious, or find yourself completely unable to sit still.
Thankfully, the universe provides a cooling mechanism. We talked about the full moon on April 2 bringing financial balance, but it also has a profound calming effect on your biology.
It does. The full moon in Libra demands harmony. It acts as a gentle, gravitational reminder from the sky to release built-up physical tension. You need to focus entirely on creating a deeply peaceful environment for yourself to relax in.
The charts suggest engaging in calming activities like daily meditation, gentle yoga, or simply spending quiet time in nature. And we do not mean a hardcore sweating in a hot room workout. We mean sitting under a tree and just watching the leaves move in the wind for 20 minutes.
Yes, disconnect the power source, walk away from the screens, close the spreadsheets, and let your nervous system reset to a baseline level. But the environment is only half the equation. We must analyze your diet.
Oh, diet.
Yes, because for Virgos, wellness always starts and ends with digestion.
The astrodata says you need to make sure to nourish your sensitive digestive system with wholesome, easily digestible foods. Why is the stomach so important for this specific sign?
Well, in medical astrology, every sign rules a different part of the human anatomy. Virgo rules the digestive tract, the intestines, and the spleen.
Okay, the whole digestive system.
Exactly. The primary function of the intestines is to analyze what you consume, extract the useful nutrients, and eliminate the waste. And if you think about it, that is exactly what the Virgo brain does with information.
Oh, wow. So there is a literal brain-gut axis at play here.
Exactly. When your brain is stressed because it is trying to process too much information, like those 50 open tabs, your physical body mimics that stress. The digestive system stops working efficiently. When a Virgo is mentally overwhelmed, their stomach is the very first thing to hurt.
That explains so much. So when the sky is throwing massive Jupiter energy at you, this is absolutely not the week to go out and try the spiciest, heaviest, deep-fried food you can find.
Please don't.
Your stomach cannot process it because your brain is using all the energy. You need to keep it simple. Rice, steamed vegetables, lean proteins. Give your digestive tract a vacation.
Food that requires very little energy to break down. And there's one more strict biological rule in the charts for this week. You must absolutely avoid consuming excessive amounts of caffeine or sugar late in the afternoon.
Let's explain why, rather than just telling people what to do. A lot of people think, I am exhausted from all these ideas. I need a coffee at 4 p.m. to finish my workday.
That is a critical mistake this week. As we established, your nervous system is already flooded with cortisol and adrenaline because of the planetary alignments.
You're already buzzing.
Yes. When you add a chemical stimulant like caffeine on top of that, it does not give you actual usable energy. It forces your already taxed cells into a severe fight-or-flight response.
You are not waking up. You are just chemically inducing a state of panic in your body. And that completely ruins your ability to get a good night of restful sleep.
And sleep is the only time your brain can permanently file away all those brilliant Mercury-Jupiter ideas. If you sabotage your sleep with sugar and caffeine, you lose the benefits of the entire week. Drink water, drink herbal tea, and let your body wind down naturally.
To help you maintain that peaceful internal environment and attract the best possible energy from the universe, let's look at the specific tools the astro data has mapped out for you. We call this your cosmic toolkit.
I love the toolkit.
When the abstract energy in the sky feels too chaotic, these are tangible, physical things you can use to anchor yourself.
Right. These tools act as psychological focal points.
Let's start with your color of the week. The charts specify that your color is navy, and we actually have the exact digital color code for it, hex #00000000. It is a very specific, deep, dark blue.
I am fascinated by this specific shade. If we analyze the psychology of color, navy is incredibly powerful for a busy mind. It is dark, resembling the deep ocean or the night sky right before total darkness, but it still holds a rich hue.
How does looking at or wearing navy actually help anchor a buzzing Virgo mind? What is the mechanism there?
Think about the societal symbols of navy blue. It represents depth of thought, authority, tradition, and serious mental clarity. It is the color of classic business suits and uniforms.
Very professional.
It is inherently stabilizing. When you wear navy or surround yourself with it, your optic nerve sends a signal to your brain that says, we are serious, we are focused, and we are in control. It is the visual equivalent of taking a slow, deep breath.
That is incredibly practical. So on April 3, when you have that massive breakthrough and you need to present your findings to upper management, you should absolutely wear that navy sweater or that navy suit.
You definitely should.
It gives you an aura of calm, commanding authority without you having to say a word.
It projects competence and grounds your own nervous system at the same time. It's a win-win.
Next in your toolkit, the astro data has provided your lucky numbers for the week. They are 4, 15, 26, 39, 42, and 51.
Numbers are symbols of order, which Virgos inherently love. You can use these numbers when making minor choices, or simply notice when they appear in your daily life.
Just as little markers.
Yeah, like if your coffee receipt totals $4.15 on a stressful morning, let it be a tiny psychological wink from the universe that you are exactly where you were supposed to be.
Finally, let's quickly review the timeline and your best dates. Your absolute best dates this week are March 30 and April 3. Let's recap exactly why you want to circle these on your calendar.
Good idea.
March 30 is the day Venus moves into Taurus. This is the day that brings that safe but exciting magnetic pull toward higher learning, culture, and discovering that brand new method for generating steady passive income.
It is your day for grounded expansion. Plant the seed for long-term growth on this day.
And then we have April 3. The day your ruler, Mercury, connects with Jupiter in that flawless trine. Yes, it might open 50 mental tabs and require you to write everything down, but it brings you massive, unmatched problem-solving power at work.
It is the day you see the forest and the trees simultaneously. It is your day to shine.
We have covered so much ground today. We looked at the big picture of your comfort zones, the incredible opportunities for your career and your bank account, the intense emotional stress tests in your relationships, who to work with, who to avoid, and how to protect your physical body from burning out.
It's a huge week.
It is. But before we finish, we want to leave you with something to ponder.
Yes. The charts are giving you a very specific, powerful tool this week. The ability to see complex mechanics clearly. You are the person who can read the confusing instruction manual.
Which is a superpower.
It really is. So I want you to ask yourself this. What is that one massive, messy problem in your personal life that you have been completely avoiding? The one you have ignored because it just felt too complicated or too deeply entangled to fix. Look closely at it this week. The charts say you finally have the exact mental clarity required to solve it right now.
What an incredible thought to take with you on this road trip. The weather looks bright, you have your tools packed, and you know exactly how to read the map. Thank you for listening to this episode on Horoscope TV. Please subscribe so that you can get notified when the next episode is available.